Remember that old diesel Econoline van that we had to pull our travel trailer with? From time to time, people ask what happened to it, and we've never really mentioned it.
Yeah.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple,
Live free. And yes, our old van, diesel, it was a 06 diesel Econoline 350. And we have just recently found a new home for it because we didn't need it anymore.
Yeah, we certainly didn't need it, so somebody else can really use it.
So the plan was, when we bought that, and we were very excited about it, if you remember, the plan was it was going to be our tow vehicle for our travel trailer. And it did a good job for that, but then also we were going to turn it into a camper van, not for long-term trips, because we'd take the travel trailer for that, but that we could just take it on a 3-day weekend to a state park or something like that, locally,
Yeah.
And we were really excited about all of that. But now we've bought this truck, this U-Haul truck, box truck, that we're turning into a more long-distance type vehicle. When we finish, it'll be just pretty much like a Class C motorhome.
Yep.
And it really meets our needs much better for longer trips. So we just didn't need that Econoline anymore.
Yep.
So just like 2 weeks ago, we found a new home for it. So
Yep.
That's good.
Why hang on to it when we didn't need it?
Yep. So we're paring down.
Yes, we're paring down.
Things that we don't need. Also, the car that you've seen us tow the motorcycle with many times in the car.
Yeah, my sweet old, I call it a beater, but I tell you what, that car runs like a dream.
Yeah.
It's not pretty, but boy, it runs like crazy.
It was
really
an 02 Chevy Cavalier.
Such a good car.
Yeah.
So someone that we know and love dearly really needed a car, so that car has now found a new home.
Yeah.
Because we just don't need it anymore. Once Bill was really sure that I was going to handle driving that box truck, which I can, we pared it down to just the box truck, and Bill has the motorcycle.
And the motorcycle.
Yep. Let me get my sunglasses back up. Okay.
So we had we had one major issue. Of course, the issue of maintaining multiple vehicles and insurances and all that.
It's just not necessary.
Expense is just not necessary. Yeah. But the biggest problem was, after we bought this box truck down here in Florida, we now have 3 vehicles that we want to get back and forth between Florida and Virginia. Yes. And for this trip up back to Virginia this time, it would have been possible for us to load the motorcycle into the back of the box truck and then tow the car. But once we get the box truck built out, we've been trying to figure a way to keep it as a toy hauler, and it's just not going to work. We
have tried everything we can possibly think of, and no, it's just, you just can't fit everything, and that's okay.
So what that means then is that we would have the box truck and the car and the motorcycle. We can't transport all of that back and forth in one trip, and that's too far for Elizabeth to drive the car. If you've been familiar with her health issues, she can't. Yeah. She just can't drive that far.
I sure used to all the time, but yep. I can't anymore. Yeah.
So all of a sudden we have more vehicles than we can transport easily, and then this need came up with someone who needed the car, so we decided we really don't need it.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's going to really bless this sweet person a lot.
So now the box truck, yes, it gets very poor gas mileage. People have been asking that. It gets about 10 miles to the gallon. Now, that's typical for any kind of an RV. I hear people, RV travelers, full-time RVers, that talk about anywhere from 8 to 12 miles a gallon, depending on what they drive. So having the truck for a daily driver for us at 10 miles to the gallon, you could think, oh man, you're going to spend a fortune in gas. Not so, because neither one of us have to commute to work.
Well, yeah, one of the things that I like about this is that it's a real multi-use vehicle, and we really thought about what that would be like to use on an everyday basis. but we just don't have to go very far anywhere, either in Florida or Virginia.
Yeah.
We don't commute. There's just nothing.
So both of us work right there, looking right there.
And in a lot of desk and computer time.
Wherever the camera is, that's where we work. So
Yeah.
we don't put many miles on the truck. Is the point. The only driving that we do during the week is basically to church and to the grocery store, and half the time, if it's just a small trip to the grocery store, I'll just go on the motorcycle because I have a trunk on the motorcycle that I can throw stuff in if we're not getting a major shopping.
And see, with having the motorcycle, occasionally, if we both have to be somewhere at the same time, it works out fine.
You still have two vehicles.
Yeah, and the motorcycle gets very good gas mileage, and he putts around on that for odds and ends of errands all the time. Yeah. And we don't live anywhere now in the bad winter weather where he wouldn't be able to use it.
Right. If we just lived in Virginia, I wouldn't be able to ride the bike all winter long. But being here in the winter, I can ride the bike year round. So that's really cool. So to get another vehicle just for better gas mileage,
nah,
it just doesn't make sense because we don't put that many miles on this truck. And when we do a lot of the, errands, I'm going to do it on the motorcycle anyway. When we go on a long trip, that's where we're going to be spending a lot of money. But you know what? If we had a Class C motorhome, which is what we want to travel in, we'd be spending that same gas money anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to be putting in something that's more miles, we're going to do it anyway in the truck. That was what the plan was.
Right.
And as far as back and forth between the houses, technically it just happens twice a year. And this is going to make that whole trip actually easier for me, and it's going to save the money. I have to explain here. It's going to save the money of having to get a hotel halfway, because if we've got this, we can do the whole thing in one long trip.
Right, or stop at a truck stop or a rest area somewhere for the night.
Yeah,
so
just
we'll easily be able to pull the trailer with the motorcycle behind the truck now.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so we got rid of all our other vehicles. The only thing we have is the box truck and the motorcycle.
Yep.
Now, go ahead.
Keep it. If you don't need something, no reason to hang on to it.
Right. We're not saying this to brag. Some people also say, "Oh, you stop bragging about all the stuff you have." In fact, every time we make a comment or make a video like this, we get comments of, "You don't have to justify anything. You don't have to explain your finances." And I end up answering hundreds of questions, comments like that. It's nobody's business. Here's the thing: we teach debt freedom.
That's what we really want to share with people.
We teach how to get out of debt. We have a seminar about how to get out of debt, and I'll link it up here. And
it's free, totally.
In the end screen, it's a series of videos that will teach you how to get completely out of debt in 7 years or less, including your mortgage. And the best way we can explain that is to live that by example and to explain what that program has done for us in our finances, and to explain that if you follow that program, you can do the same thing on an average income.
Yeah, a lot of this has started happening when we were barely getting back on our feet financially.
Right. And I know a lot of you have already followed that and are either out of debt or getting out of debt, and that just makes us feel so good.
Yeah.
To know that we're making a difference in your lives financially by following the debt-free philosophy.
To be able to have the money to pay your bills and to know that you can keep up with everything takes so much stress off. And I feel like now that if I need to go buy socks, I can go buy socks. It doesn't have to be anything expensive and fancy, but we know we've got the money that we need to take care of the necessities, and there is a sense of freedom in that.
Right.
It really is.
Okay, so another comment that we get on a regular basis is people saying, live simple, live free. You don't live simple, and they list all of the assets that we have: 2 houses, cars, motorcycles, RVs, all these kind of things. Well, we don't have RVs and all that stuff anymore, but
we don't even have all the cars that they were listing anymore.
I think the main misunderstanding there is they misunderstand our definition of living simple. When they see that or they hear that title, they think living simple means living minimalist. We've talked about this before,
sure.
But living in a tiny house, which we used to do, with 1 plate for each and 1 cup each, and no assets. To us, living simple means to live below your means, basically. It means to don't go out and buy anything that you can't afford, cash, Don't buy stuff just because you can, because you have a credit card. Just live below your means. And you know what happens when you live below your means? Your means get bigger because you're not spending money on mortgages. You're not spending money on interest.
Car loans,
all that kind of stuff. So your discretionary income every month is larger because you don't have to make all those payments. And with a larger discretionary income, that means you're going to be able to save considerably more. And so to us, that is what living simple means. We had a problem, and Elizabeth was talking about this, but because of her issue with her lungs, she can't handle the cold anymore up there in Virginia.
I mean, it's not just uncomfortable, it's like the air stops before it gets to my lungs.
Right. So with our living simple philosophy and saving money, and then Barry and I renovated that flip house and sold it like 2 years ago, and we raised quite a bit of money from that to put down on this Florida house. And so basically we had the money from the flip house and we had the money from saving things every month.
Selling our RV that we didn't need anymore.
Right. Selling stuff we didn't need, like the RV. So all of a sudden we had this money in the bank, and you can't just sit money in the bank. You can't just leave it there. So we decided to buy this house in Florida, and that did two things for us. One was that it allowed us to invest that money that we were saving because we were living simple, and the other is that it allowed her to get out of the cold.
Gave us some place to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we tried the RV thing coming down here in the winter in Florida, and that just didn't work.
Everybody comes to Florida in the winter, so finding a spot, wow.
Right.
It's interesting.
So we just told you that we got rid of the two cars that are the two vehicles that we didn't need anymore, the Econoline and the little car that we had.
Yeah.
We're paring down. We're living as simple as we can. We're not spending any more money than we have to. And then just simple things like the two vehicles that we own now, the truck and the motorcycle, are both 2007s.
Yeah.
Now, we could have gone and bought newer vehicles, but then we'd either blow every penny we've saved, which we don't want to do, or we would have another debt payment, which we don't want to do.
Right.
And so, like, for instance, this box truck that we just bought, we really wanted an RV. I wanted a Class C RV. But when I started looking at the prices of used RVs,
we're talking like 97s, 98s
that are going for $25,000, I couldn't believe it. I mean, and I searched for 6 months, and that was the going price for a 98 or 99, 97 was $25,000. So we discovered that buying this old U-Haul box truck is an 07, 122,000 miles on it, and then do the build out ourselves, we could get basically the same thing for about half the cost of going out and buying
once it's completely done,
a used RV.
Right. And that RV wouldn't have had solar on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So our living simple philosophy, that's why we have the assets that we have. That's why we have two houses and that sort of thing.
I like the fact that the truck is multi-purpose. People talk about, well, we must get terrible gas mileage, but it's got two purposes, and I think we're going to be fine with it, and
what is that, daily use and travel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When we bought this is a 14-footer, 14-foot box truck. They also had a 17-foot box truck available that would have given us a lot more room inside, but the 14 fits in a standard parking spot.
Yes.
The 17 would not. So that's why we did this, because we didn't know for sure when we bought this, but we suspected this might become our daily driver. And if it was any longer, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. So, yep, Bill had to make sure I could handle it, but I can put that thing in a parking spot.
Yeah.
And so I don't have any trouble at all driving it, so I don't have to have another vehicle.
Yeah.
I could drive that.
So that's what happened with our Econoline van, and that's what happened with our little car.
Yeah.
And that's how we can afford these things, and that's why we're still saying we still live simple, because we live below our means, and we try to do things as cheaply as possible, like building a RV instead of buying one.
What's going to be cool too is that we have a friend that's going to help us with some of the electrical system and plumbing system, and this isn't a brand new vehicle by far. it's in good shape. But these units are modular, so if we ever have
the solar units.
the solar unit,
Yeah.
Anyway, in other words, that whole unit can be just put into a different vehicle somewhere down the road. So to me, that's good, because if we ever wear this truck out, then that can be transferred into another vehicle.
Right. All of the solar controller, the inverter, all of those electronic parts and bits are all just screwed to a piece of plywood, and we can just take the whole piece out and put it in another vehicle if we need to, and the batteries and all that. The only thing would be we'd need to get new solar panels. That'd be about it.
Mm-hmm. And out of that whole system, solar panels are not expensive.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, yep. This we have pared down again, as you know. It's just always a good idea. And we're really trying to not bring something more into our life without getting rid of something if we don't need it anymore.
Right.
I learned a long time ago when we had to go from 2,500 square feet to 250 square feet. When we had to go into the tiny house, at the time of the crash and all that, way back 2008, I learned that I'm not keeping anything unless I really need it, or with some things unless it just brings me great joy and a big smile. And sometimes you got to have that stuff around too. So I got a lot of pictures up on the walls, especially in Virginia, because it's all memories and family, and makes me smile.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway, I hope all that makes sense.
Yep. We did want to let you know what was going on with cars
Yeah.
and vehicles.
Yeah. So thanks for watching.
Yep, it was simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
Yeah, love you guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.